the life. Living the life. Living the life. Living the life. Living the life.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Living Life this evening with Atif Nawaz.
And Basit Khan. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight on Islam Channel. We've got a great show for you, full of stories and a wonderful guest. So stick around.
Because that's all to come up soon. We also have our own stories, as always, to share with you right from the sofa.
Have you got a good one?
I've got a fantastic one today.
Is it cricket related?
It's a cricket playing nation.
Oh, okay.
Where I'm going to, but not cricket playing.
Are you excited about the cricket?
I'm looking forward to it. Tomorrow, big day.
A lot of Pakistani friends will be watching. Good luck tomorrow, guys.
Good luck, England. Let's beat the Pakistanis. Pakistan's not going to win. Let's just give up.
I think they might.
You reckon?
I think they might.
I don't know.
I'm going to be live there in person. If you're in Lords tomorrow by any chance, come say hello. I'll be there.
Atif will be there. He'll be there on BBC.
Yeah, big time.
New commentator. Don't forget. If you want to share a story with us, then just let us know on our Twitter page. Go on Twitter, tweet us away.
That's right.
You know
now, our guest today is the founder and project coordinator of a visually unique project that explores the incredible places around London.
Oh, wow. Incredible places around London.
There's plenty of those, I reckon.
It's the place to be.
Well, London is the place to be.
London is the place to be.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
What's your favourite place in London?
My favourite place in London is Shoreditch.
Really?
Literally down the road.
Yeah.
It's always buzzing. It's always something happening there. Loads of colour. There's, graffiti, love it or hate it, but just the way they've done a lot of the graffiti there, it's very nice. It's very, very hipster.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
Very hipster. It's a nice place.
Yeah, I just like the stakeout in Harrow. It's good. It's nice.
So, actually, I'm surprised I didn't give a food-related anecdote.
I know, right?
You actually saw my creative side for once. anyway, our guest is here in the green room. So please welcome Saira Niazi. Assalamu alaikum, Saira.
Wa alaikum salam.
Excited, but Shoreditch, right? That's the place to be in London, right?
That's debatable, but...
Shoreditch is hip. Am I not hip enough? Is that the problem?
I reckon there's more substance coming here than just hip places. Saira, tell us, what's the strangest and most interesting place that you've explored in your project?
There have been so many. Earlier this week, I went to a place called Eel Pie Island, which is a small island in the middle of the Thames. And it used to be a hippie commune, and now it's home to a group of artists. So that was a really quirky place I visited recently. I think it's one of the strangest, for sure.
Wow, an island in the middle of the Thames?
Yeah.
Where is that along the Thames?
It's towards Twickenham. And the only way you can access it is through a footbridge, which is actually submerged at some parts of the year, so people are stranded on the island.
Wow.
So it's a really strange place.
That's extraordinary. I bet there's a whole bunch of rugby balls just sitting on the island landing from the stadium.
And rowing boats.
Rowing boats,
That's it. Let's just go on those terms. So what would you say, would that be your favourite place in the whole of London, or which one is your most favourite, would you say?
My favourite place would probably be London Wetland Centre. I used to work there for about 3 or 4 years on and off, and it's a really big nature reserve in Barnes. It's 42 hectares, and it's a bird reserve, and it's got lots of lagoons and reservoirs, and it's a really beautiful, peaceful place. And you wouldn't feel like you're in London when you're there.
Sarah, you do realise something. You're putting me to shame here, because you just mentioned two places in London, and I'm a Londoner.
Yeah.
I've never heard of them before.
Well, at least you know Shoreditch. Hey, I'm no better. I talked about a food place, a steak place. But that's fascinating. So, a nature reserve in London. How did you come to find this? Do you just kind of do your research online and just look for interesting places, or do you get recommended places? How do you come to find these places?
Yeah, through quite a few different means, mostly through wandering. I really like just walking and finding new places, so I'll go to a different place on the tube map and just wander around. Other ways are just looking at maps, trying to find places of interest, looking through old second-hand guidebooks, talking to people. I know a lot of people are interested in heritage and the environment, so it's just loads of different ways of discovering new places.
Wow.
It's only just one way.
Well, I tell you what, Saira, it's going to be a pleasure speaking to you a bit later. We'll get some more recommendations of great places in London. You know, one of my favourite things to do about it, because my parents, mashallah, they're like, they're at the age where they get the Freedom Pass in the UK.
Yes, yeah.
So they get to travel for free. So we like to just sometimes get on the train. Me and my parents will get on the train, we'll just go places, you know.
Excellent.
Just travel, find places.
Yeah.
And we always inevitably nowadays go to the same places, but it'd be nice to find a new spot and do a few nice spots to take your parents to, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think. Yeah. Anyway, let's get on with the show today, guys. It's time for our first story of the evening. Now, this remote Indian village is also known as the cleanest in Asia. The village forbids litter and has held on to this tradition after cleanliness became highly important when the plague struck India in the 19th century. Let's take a look at this magical clean village.
They call it Asia's cleanest village. The message is clear in Mollinong, northeast India. Littering is forbidden.
Grandmother, grandfather, and mother, father taught us how to clean the village and our surroundings because it's healthy for us.
An historic attachment to cleanliness, stretching back perhaps to the end of the 19th century, when the plague killed millions across India. At the time, Christian missionaries here taught villagers about basic hygiene, the legacy of which lives on today. In 2003, it was nicknamed Asia's cleanest village by a journalist, and over time, Mo Lee Nong has become a tourist attraction in itself.
I never expect that the village will become this way. I don't expect that people from outside will come so many like it is now, sir. Yeah, it is all unexpected.
Rishod's village stands in stark contrast with much of India, which struggles daily with pollution and waste. However, some fear the influx of tourists may destroy the once tight-knit community.
What have we done here? That social bonding which binds the village together is getting disintegrated, which is not fair. There is no more privacy. A woman is washing her clothes, she's being photographed.
Change may indeed be afoot, but whatever happens, this village's zero tolerance towards litter is at the very least an example for the rest of the country to follow.
That's great. Cleanliness.
Cleanliness
it's important.
is, but in India, a clean village? Isn't that an oxymoron?
No, not anymore. Not in 2016. They're all super duper clean. I went to a village in Pakistan last year, super duper clean, and they put a lot of emphasis on keeping their ears clean and stuff. Do you ever use Q-tips?
Do I use
cotton buds?
I do, but
you're not supposed to.
You're not I know.
It's really bad for your eardrum.
But the thing is, it's when you come out of a shower, you've got a bit of water. There's nothing quite like just drying it out with a cotton bud.
But the wax is good for you. Yeah, the earwax is good for you. It protects your eardrums. You're only supposed to get rid of it if you get like a proper blockage. Then you have to get it syringed.
Some people, or am I just thinking of Shrek? Because they don't take out.
Yeah, you're thinking of Shrek.
I'm thinking of
that
Shrek.
Much. If you've got a Shrek amount of earwax, then get rid of it. Use whatever you can. Get your garden hose if you have to. But yeah, traditionally they say you're supposed to get the corner of a towel and wet that, and that's nothing bigger than that should go in your ear.
Cleanliness. There you go. Don't use cotton buds.
There you go. We teach you something every day.
Anyway, now it's time for our stories. Now, these can be featured in newspapers or trending across social media. We bring you our favourites just for you. Now, Atif, what story have you got for us?
I've got a big story right now.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not actually a huge fan of the Harry Potter franchise. Are you a fan of Harry Potter?
Harry Potter, hit and miss, to be honest.
Well, you know there's like a big Harry Potter studio thing in London now, right? It's like a big Harry Potter experience thing. Now, one lady... right, was so impressed with this Harry Potter experience thing. Yeah. She went to the studio, she did the whole tour. She was so impressed that she decided to take £13,000 of her own money and transform her living room into a small version of the Hogwarts dining hall.
What?
Yeah, so she spent 13 grand, which I think is actually not bad, having recently paid for a bathroom. I know that it's actually quite expensive to do up your whole living room, but she made it a miniature Hogwarts dining hall.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's bizarrely impressive.
It is, I guess. I think you could do better things with 13 grand.
With 13 grand, you could do a heck of I could get a state-of-the-art kitchen with a granite worktop as well. But hey, Hogswat theme.
What else have you spent £13,000 on? Tweet us at Islam Channel, #LTL. We want to know.
Oh, gosh. Anyway, my story.
Yeah, your story. Let's hear it.
So I said it's an international story.
Okay.
International story. Cricket playing nation of New Zealand.
Oh, excellent.
Okay, now question. What would you do if an armed robber walked into your store?
Probably panic or try and call the police or hit a panic button. Probably just go crazy.
Well, not this guy in New Zealand.
What did he do?
So we've got a kebab shop owner, armed robber. I don't know why armed robber picked a kebab shop out of all places. Picks a kebab shop with his gun, turns up, and the kebab shop owner just ignores him and carries on serving all his other customers.
But the guy's holding a gun.
The guy's holding a gun. He just looked at him and they probably said, "Do you want salad with that?" Pulled out the gun.
Takes the gun, puts it in a pita bread, puts some salad on it, some ketchup, some chili sauce, mayonnaise. Here you go, my friend.
There you go. Off you go. And literally just ignored the guy.
That's hilarious.
And it seems to have worked because the guy's absolutely perplexed. He's looking, thinking, "Well, I'm holding you up here." The guy's gone. He just walks out.
That's bizarre.
So the store was stood up or was held at gunpoint.
Did the guy go to jail? Did he get caught?
Just walked away.
Just walked away, the armed robber. Well done. Good on you, my New Zealand
and apparently,
friend.
It's been caught on CCTV footage.
Oh, hilarious.
And it's gone viral.
It's gone viral. I'm going to find this.
You've got to find this.
It sounds
YouTube it.
Hilarious. Amazing. The things that people do in the face of danger blows me away.
Absolutely. Anyway, that's our stories for today. But now it's time for a quick break before we go. we've got another story for you, and this time we're in Saudi Arabia, where part of the government's Vision 2030 plan is to help young Saudis into long-term employment, and one institute is helping individuals gain vocational skills and a future in the sector. Let's take a look.
Their heads bowed, young Saudi men concentrate on exam papers in a workshop filled with industrial machines that will help them earn a living. The students at the Higher Institute for Plastics Fabrication, HIPF, learn to manufacture plastic bags, pipes, bottles and other products, skills they immediately put to work in what the government says is a unique model.
I think like most of the students that are working here are thinking about having their own company. So they will start their own jobs and give jobs to give other opportunities too. So the industrial part in Saudi Arabia will rise, and there will be more Saudi people working in it.
Reducing the kingdom's high unemployment rate is a foundation and major challenge of the government's wide-ranging Vision 2030 reform plan unveiled in April. It aims not to only bring more Saudis into the workforce, but also to give the vocational skills needed for a diversified private sector. The HIPF and similar institutes are a focus of the effort to transform Saudi Arabia's labour force, ended decades of over-reliance on oil exports to strengthen the Gulf Kingdom's industrial base. The National Transformation Programme, NTP, which sets 5-year targets for implementing the vision, calls for Saudi unemployment to be cut from 11.6% to 9% by 2020. More than half of Saudis are under 25, but the International Monetary Fund last year noted very high and rising youth unemployment, which it said must be tackled urgently. More than 6.5 million foreigners were employed last year in the kingdom, whose Saudi population is about 21 million. Expatriates do everything from management to cleaning the streets and waiting on tables, in a society where many locals are reluctant to take jobs they consider menial. Almost twice as many Saudis are employed in the public sector, where hours are shorter and leave longer than in private firms. Improved education is a focus of the Vision 2030 plan, which calls for expanded vocational training and rigorous standards in basic learning. The HIPF Plastics Institute is among the most advanced of about 240 schools run by the government's Technical and Vocational Training Corporation. The course concludes with a job placement before graduates continue to full-time employment. Coming up after the break. Pigeon racing has been a hobby in Pakistan for years after flying pigeon breeds were introduced by the Mughals. Enthusiasts step out around cities in the country to watch the races and marvel at the birds. The feathered champion is the one who has the longest average flight time from dawn to nightfall. A welder in Malawi who has always dreamed of flying has built his own helicopter. Eager to take off in his creation, the aspiring pilot may have to wait for official approval from the civil aviation authorities. If his flight is successful, he could make history. Don't go anywhere.
Alaikum and welcome back to Living the Life. Our guest for tonight's show will be joining us very, very shortly on our main sofa. But before they do, we have a story for you all the way from one of my, well, probably my favourite country in the world, Pakistan. We're going to go and we're going to take a look at the hobby of pigeon racing, of all things. I've lived there my whole life, never heard of pigeon racing.
I didn't realise that was a thing over there.
Let's have a look.
Unlike their feral counterparts, these pigeons are cherished athletes. Today, they're racing above Pakistan's capital city, Islamabad. Below, they're watchful owners. It's a passion shared by millions countrywide.
I've been keeping pigeons since I was a child. I'm fond of them because I enjoy it when I beat my competitors and win competitions. It gives me joy, and it also brings me fame.
Flying pigeon breeds were introduced to neighboring India by the Mughals, the Muslim dynasty that used to rule the subcontinent. When Pakistan was formed in 1947, people brought their pigeons and a hobby was born. Soon, competitions started, at first just for fun.
Slowly and afterwards, people came who invested money, who started gambling. And now it is at the height.
The rules are simple. At dawn, each team of 7 or 11 pigeons takes off. When they return at nightfall, the flight time of each pigeon is calculated, and the winning team is the one with the longest average time.
I have to stamp the pigeons to avoid any mix-up between them. Today is the final flight of this competition, so we have stamped the pigeons so they can't be changed.
A good pigeon can cost hundreds of dollars, equivalent to several months of pay for many here. Trainers are often illiterate, while the owners are frequently from the middle classes, making the birds a unifying pastime for Pakistanis of different social backgrounds.
That's bizarre.
I didn't know that was a big thing in Pakistan.
Nor did I. As I say, I've spent much of my life there, never seen pigeon racing before.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Interesting. Anyway, it's time now to introduce our first guest. Now, Living London is an online project capturing interesting and unique places around the City of London. The project has gained interest from heritage organisations, charities and even MPs, although there may not be many of them left. Anyway, through writing and photographs, different places I show to the audience to inform them about the existence and history. Through this awareness, the founder of this project also hopes to connect individuals and organisations together and progress the project further with events and walks so the community can explore these wonderful places for themselves. Please welcome Saira Niazi. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Living the Life.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show. Now, Saira, what was it that drew you to this project?
Yeah, well, I've always really enjoyed exploring. It's been like one of my main passions, as well as photography and writing. And so this project was a way of actually bringing all these sort of interests together, if you like, and sort of portraying them in a way that is engaging to people. It was only a few years ago that I decided that actually I've discovered so many places through this project, so many interesting places that I didn't know existed. And I'm sure a lot of other people don't know they exist. And I really wanted to find a way to capture that and actually just project it and share it with other people.
So why do they? Because that's a very good point you raise. I'm a Londoner.
Yeah.
And like the Tower of London is on our doorstep.
Yeah.
Madam Tussauds, I've never been. 30
Both
plus
really fun places.
I imagine, right? But I've never been. Buckingham Palace, never been, but we never go. So,
that's it, yeah.
Is that why you started doing this?
That's another sort of reason that I started doing it, and I really wanted to sort of capture places that people haven't heard of, and sort of community grassroots kind of places, because there are so many gems in London that people don't know about, and like even with the Tower of London and London Dungeons, those are the kind of things that appeal to even Londoners who don't really necessarily know, where to. Sort of
I was really surprised to learn that there's quite a few farms in the middle of London. There's Hackney Farm. There's a place called Butts Farm in Canada Water as well. There's so many of these places, and you wouldn't expect farms. So I guess you discover things as you kind of explore, right?
Yeah,
well, we've got some pictures actually that I think you've taken or that are part of this project. Let's take a look, and perhaps you can give us some insight. Where is this?
Okay, so this one is called God's Own Junkyard, and it's one of the largest neon sign makers in London, and it's in Walthamstow.
What was it? What junkyard?
God's Own Junkyard.
God's Own Junkyard.
Yeah. So it's an old man who is, I think, running it now, but...
So is it, he just collects neon signs?
He makes neon signs.
Oh, he makes neon signs?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Chris Bracey, he recently passed away, but these were all his signs.
How did you find out about that?
I'm not sure. I mean, there's about 1,000 places on the website now, and so when people ask me, did you find out about that place? It kind of just blurs. I'm like, I have no idea. I think someone told me from another place I visited, and they sort of directed me to a book, and so it's a bit of a blur.
But it's still like where do you start? Like tomorrow, okay, let's say you're planning a project. Tomorrow is Thursday, and you're thinking, right, I want to go somewhere Friday.
Yeah.
You turn on your computer, what do you do?
Okay, so today, for example, I went to Fitzrovia Chapel this morning, and then after that I took a trip to the Skip Garden in King's Cross. So the way I found out about those two places, Fitzrovia Chapel, it's a chapel that used to be part of a hospital, and I found out about that through Open House London. Open House London is an initiative where they open all the sort of heritage sites and buildings in London, and it's quite a big festival. It takes place every September. So I found out about that through that, but I never got a chance to visit during Open House. So I researched it and I found out they're open every Wednesday for 2 hours, and so I popped down this morning. And
that's a secret. I can't even follow that anymore, Saira. I'm sorry. You've gone through so many pictures. Let's take a look at another picture.
Okay,
what's going on over here? Show us. Tell us what's there. Where is that?
Okay, so this is next to Heathrow, and it's a part of a squatters community called Grow Heathrow, and it's like a arts community, environmental sort of base, and what they do, it's like lots of artists who work together, and they squat in this place, but it was made in opposition of the third runway at Heathrow.
But it's called Grow Heathrow.
It's called Grow Heathrow.
So I was going to say, so are they supporting the expansion?
No, they're
when
really
you say
not.
squatters, you kind of think...
So I imagine they want to grow the town.
Grow the town.
Yeah, they want to grow the town, and they want to sort of just get people to be aware of what's happening with the runway.
I'm fascinated by this, because obviously the example you gave us of Fitzrovia Chapel.
Yeah.
You've gone to an open house event, that's what we learned about. But what do you Google? Because for me, if I went to search, I'd Google. I mean, and if I was to Google interesting places in London, I'm sure that the standard
It would be your London
Big Ben, London,
Big
that's
Ben,
it.
West
That
End.
will all come. So it's very difficult to find. You know, you'd have to go to like page 150 on the Google search
Then
page.
you get Nando's on
Exactly.
But yeah, so I mean, it's not as simple as search. It's putting an interesting places search into Google. You've got to do your research and you've got to get connected to various streams, I imagine.
No, completely.
But I think we've got one more picture, so let's take a look at this last place. Tell us what we're looking at here. Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
So this is one of my favourite mosques in London. It's Azizia Mosque
of course,
that's
where it is.
in Dalston. So again, this mosque, I was literally just walking down Kingsland Road one day and I saw the sort of blue towers outside and I thought, oh wow, that's a really stunning mosque, and so I just went inside.
Actually, what I love about that mosque is it's almost bringing Istanbul to your doorstep.
Yes, exactly.
That's the way they've done the whole setting inside. But see, the reason why we know that, because it's a mosque and we go there. But if you didn't go there for religious purposes or for your worship,
never know.
You'd never know.
Exactly,
You'd never know, right?
Yeah, and that's another part of the project that I've been visiting lots of synagogues, lots of chapels, lots of churches, and it's about sort of bringing sort of people together and learning more about religions and learning more about different communities in London. One of the wanderings I organised a couple of months ago was to a Hindu temple, and a lot of people who came to the walk were Muslim, and it was really interesting for them to visit the temple but also to engage with people from different backgrounds.
Which
Hindu.
temple was it?
It was Wembley Temple.
Oh, is it
so I'm not sure
the
the exact name.
Swaminarayan Temple?
I think that's
Neasden Temple.
Yeah.
It's not Neasden. Neasden's beautiful. Neasden's a really nice one. There's another one. It's next to Alperton. It's a beautiful sort of mud-structured building.
Yes, of course, I know that too. That's on the Ealing Road.
Yes, yeah,
of course. That Ealing Road is famous, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but it's one of the only roads in the country that has a mosque, a synagogue, a church, a Sikh temple, and a Hindu temple.
Oh, I don't know that.
It's one of the only places in the country.
You should put that on your to-do list.
Well, it's just my local. There's also a nice kebabish there. Anyway, so that's where I did my tarawis. So anyway, so it's all it's fascinating to explore these places.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people ask you, do you get inundated with your friends just requesting, I've got a day off, where should I go?
It gets really exhausting.
What's the first place you send people to?
It depends on what they enjoy. Like a lot of people, they don't really like walking, they don't really like green spaces. I mean, that's my passion is green spaces. I really love sort of green spaces. So that's, for me, one place that I would
let's do this then, okay. Hyde Park, Green Park, Kensington Gardens, what's left?
So those aren't the
Park.
ones that I would actually recommend. I'd go for the sort of the whole point of this project is to expose people to places they might not necessarily know. So it'd be places like Abney Park Cemetery, which is a really beautiful nature reserve as well, and it has a lot of rare birds. Or it would be like the Skip Gardens that I visited today, which is like a community garden enterprise. So it would be about sort of
something really obscure.
So it'd be like exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be the most obscure places that you could think of, but also the mainstream
But can you
ones
rent
as well.
a boat? I want to ride a bike and rent a boat.
Oh, you can do that over there.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
We might be able to pick a flower though.
Okay, well, you're not supposed to, though, are you? You're not supposed to pick the flowers in the park. Anyway, listen, Saira, this is a very fun discussion. We're going to come back very, very shortly and talk some more and find out more about living London. But right now, we're going to go and do something a little bit different, okay? In fact, we're going to go off for another break. But before we go to the break, we're going to bring you a story from Malawi. Now, a welder and an aeroplane enthusiast has made his own helicopter to fly. He made his own helicopter.
Wow.
Extraordinary.
How'd you do that?
Well, you'll find out in a second. But his family and others were worried that he could harm himself. But this possible future pilot is confident he will soon be flying high in a helicopter that he made himself in Malawi. Let's check it out.
He dreamed of flying as a young boy. Now welder Felix Kamwiri has taken matters into his own hands. Born and raised 100 miles from Malawi's capital, the 45-year-old used to watch President Hastings Banda's chopper as a child, sparking a lifelong passion for helicopters. After years of planning and watching war movies, he decided to build one of his own. Curious visitors come to check the progress of his work, but many are skeptical it will take off. But Felix brushes off the criticism, certain that his helicopter can fly.
People have been coming here and some of them say I've gone mad. Others say this helicopter will kill me. Others, who have been to polytechnics, say this helicopter cannot fly because I'm not educated. But God is wonderful.
Felix used scrap metal and fiberglass to make the body of the helicopter, adding an electric circuit and a motorcycle engine with the help of an electrician. The 150-kilogram machine cost him $350 to build.
We had some challenges with the wiring system resulting in short circuits, but slowly everything has been sorted out.
Felix is eager to take to the skies, but he's been warned against taking a test flight before the Civil Aviation Authority's approval. The father of 7 has also given his family some cause for concern.
I
was frightened when I heard that my husband was developing a helicopter, because he'd never done it before. But later I accepted it because everything is possible through God.
If his first flight is successful, Felix will be flying into the history books with his homemade helicopter and his sky-high ambitions.
Coming up after the break, the Pokemon Go application has sent the world trying to catch them all, with people using their smartphones non-stop to hunt the cartoon creatures, to train for battles, and to find Pokestops, where they could pick up virtual supplies to aid them in their quest. Stay tuned to find out more.
Living the life.
Guest Saira Niazi, who has an online project which shows all the amazing places and objects and everything that you want to imagine right here in London.
That's right.
I wouldn't have even heard of them.
No, you might. I haven't heard of some of them. There's islands in the Thames. It's extraordinary. Like from heritage sites to bingo halls, our guest documents these findings, and through we get to see these beautiful photographs which demonstrate this as well. And it's been a pleasure.
It's been a great topic. It's been a really great topic.
I'm learning stuff. In fact, we've still got Saira with us as well. So Saira, tell us, right? I've got, what's my next day off? I think my next day off is next week, Wednesday, right? So, where should I go on Wednesday? Just by myself?
What do you like? What kind of stuff do you like?
Food, exploring, and I like art and museums and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular, like in terms of museums, that you like?
I like them all. I've been to like everything from the V&A to like the comic book museum in London, everywhere.
I mean, it's really hard to say on the, sort of the top of your head, like what kind of place you want to kind of visit, because people's interests are so different.
Sure.
And that's the great thing about this project is it's so varied. And the way the website works is literally you press the explore button, it brings up a new place. So it kind of, you're supposed to like try to take away sort of the diversity of it. So I find it really hard when people say,
just to recommend.
Yeah, no, that's
fair enough.
really
I get that.
So what would you say to a Tory supporter like me?
You would say, stop being a Tory supporter.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably what I'd say.
I'm not. I'm not. Let's just go. Well, anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's fine. But, so out of all the places that you've been to, which one was the most obscure place?
Obscure
place, yeah.
Chislehurst Caves was quite obscure. So there are some caves in Chislehurst.
Caves.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a friend who lives in Chislehurst. Hello, if you're watching, Chislehurst friend.
Chislehurst Caves. Is this
there
like
are some underground
actual
caves?
caves?
Yeah. Jimi Hendrix played in the caves like about 15, 20 years
It's
ago.
like a performance venue.
No, it's just caves. Like they're just really old caves. They used to, I think
So
they're from the
in a kind of,
Saxon period, so they were underground, and people stayed there during World War II and World War One.
And is it like an attraction now? Or?
It is, yeah. You pay like £2 and someone sort of takes you around with a lantern, but it's a really creepy kind of weird place. And they've got a little
sounds
cafe.
fun. I would do that. I would go check that out.
I could never imagine caves in London. You just think caves would be somewhere remote, in a mountainous kind of jungle type area. Not London.
There's caves everywhere now. But I get used to caves as a performance space. It's almost become like a gimmick.
Yeah.
Like,
it used to be a bit
in Edinburgh, you've got them everywhere, right? But
totally.
like. I mean, in London, it's curious. So you're saying somebody actually gives you a lantern tour and everything?
Yeah. So it's underground. So I think it's like 20 miles of underground caves.
Toothless person with weird dishevelled hair?
Someone with a really long leather jacket, very long hair, and they look very otherworldly.
Okay.
This
goth dude takes you around.
Yeah, pretty much.
In Chislehurst. I like Chislehurst. I might give that a go, actually.
And obviously, we're both foodies.
Oh, yeah.
We do love our food.
Yes,
so will this now venture out into the food side of London?
Yeah, I would like to do that. I haven't done that so much because I also wanted to keep it very sort of cheap. Like I wanted it to be really accessible. So most of the places I've featured are either free or very, very cheap to visit. But I would like to sort of venture out into sort of food as well, because I've featured quite a lot of restaurants and cafes, more like obscure cafes.
But with all that expertise and knowledge that you have you considered like almost becoming a tour guide, like taking people out yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I do that for the community, but I've been thinking a lot about getting into locations for films. So that's something that I kind of would consider, and just being sort of the go-to person for locations in London, just because a lot of the places are quite, that I do know are quite obscure and they're quite specific.
That's a great I mean, there's there's a dearth of, especially Indian films, or films of the subcontinent that are shoot in the UK because of the, tax benefits. I don't know if they're going to last. But the fact that they have them, they come here, they look for locations. I've actually had, you know what, I can put you in touch with somebody.
Oh, that'd be great.
There we go. There we go.
There you go.
There you go. Connections on Living the Life.
So how do people find out? Because obviously you've got people already going on tour with you.
Yeah.
How are they getting in touch with you, and how do they learn about this?
Yeah, so I have a website. I've got quite a lot of good coverage from this. So the Mayor of London's promoted it. I've had a lot of the sort of the organisations that I've spoken about, like Natural History Museum, London Wetlands Centre, South Bank Centre. They've all kind of supported it. A lot of local MPs. I've also been sort of covered in Dazed and Confused magazine, so I've got quite a lot of good coverage. Yeah. A lot of it's it's very grassroots, so just word of mouth, telling people that I know, them telling their friends.
And then do these people, when they hear about this, come and say, well, actually, have you seen this place? And
they
share
do, yeah,
more
exactly.
places.
Yeah, it's like a domino effect. This project is amazing. Like, I'll meet one person, they'll tell me about like another obscure place. I don't know, it attracts certain kinds of people who are really interested in heritage and interesting spaces, and you find that you're attracted to those kind of people, and they'll come to you. And it's a great network.
What's your preferred mode of transport?
Walking.
Like the tube, I imagine, just to get around.
I love the tube, but walking is the number one.
Like an annual pass or something for the tube, just to make it more economical for yourself?
Yeah, I've tried. I haven't got annual, but I try to do monthly. But yeah.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. The tube. So, like, I was watching the most recent Bond movie, and there was a whole thing about underground tube stations, like for disused tube stations. I became fascinated with this whole thing. Have you explored any of those?
I was quite interested in urban exploration, so that's exploring places that are actually you're not allowed to visit. So I visited a old print factory, so I kind of broke in, and I broke into an old firework factory too. It's quite dangerous, and I wouldn't really recommend people do it.
Maybe not a firework factory,
You broke into an old firework factory.
I'm not sure if I should probably be talking about this on TV, but there's a really big thing about urban exploring and exploring disused places and places that are sort of off limits or no longer used, derelict places, and that's something that I've kind of included in living London, but not so much because it's
like
a little bit illegal.
There's scene about this, the whole scavenger hunt thing, and people leave clues and stuff. Is this something, well, maybe you don't want to talk about that, I imagine.
I haven't really been involved in that part of it, but urban exploring is definitely something that I'm really interested in and would like to kind of get more involved in, but it is a bit dangerous.
What would be the ultimate goal for you off the back of this? Where would you like to take this project?
I'd really like to engage more people in it and just take communities out. A lot of this project is about sort of getting people to take back the city, especially people of colour and Muslims. There's been such a rise in attacks, and a lot of people feel unsafe going out, and a lot of this project is also about, making people feel like London is a safe place, it's an interesting place, it's somewhere that you should explore, and it's somewhere that you can really learn a lot from, and you can learn from other communities, and by talking to people it really sort of diminishes a lot of fear and a lot of sort of weird ideas people have about, just exploring. I think exploring is such a great way to just learn and to educate yourself about things.
True. And you're learning local history, which you
most definitely are. And I mean, just learn so much just on this show, just absorb so much information. Thank you so much, Saira. We're going to chat to you very quickly just before we finish the show. But right now,
it's time for our last story of the show, and it's about the rise of the app Pokemon Go.
Yay.
Is Pokemon still around?
Yeah, it's back.
Is it back?
Pokemon Go.
He's going.
Yeah.
People all over the world are stuck to their smartphones to catch the cartoon creatures they see in their everyday surroundings. Pokemon. Check it out.
Pokemon Go mania has quickly swept the US as players armed with smartphones hunt streets, parks, rivers and elsewhere to capture monsters and gather supplies in the hit game. The free application, based on a Nintendo title that debuted 20 years ago, has been adapted to the mobile internet age by Niantic Labs, a company spun out of Google last year after breaking ground with Ingress, a game that merged mapping capabilities with play. By Monday, Pokemon Go had been downloaded millions of times, topping rankings at official online shops for applications tailored for smartphones powered by Apple or Google-backed Android software. The game uses GPS and mapping capabilities in mobile phones to let players roam the real world to find Pokestops, stocked with supplies, and hunt cartoon character monsters to capture and train for battles. Pokestops can also dispense monster eggs, which players incubate by racking up walking distances. Players can also visit gyms, where captured cartoon creatures can be conditioned as combatants to seize such training facilities. People who played Ingress will recognise Pokestops in gyms, many being monuments, signs, businesses or other real-world spots that served as portals that could be captured in the earlier Niantic game.
I guess right now I'm loving the nostalgia of it. It brings me back to when I was a kid, you know, playing on the Game Boy and all that stuff. You know, because I haven't been able to play it in years because, you know, I don't really have a Game Boy or anything like that anymore. So it's just cool to play. It's fun.
A tidal wave of interest in the game has bogged down servers hosting the software, frustrating some players and delaying plans to launch Pokemon Go in more countries. Pokemon Go comes with warnings to players to remain aware of their surroundings.
No, I haven't ran into anything yet. I mean, that's the first thing the game tells you, to be aware of your surroundings. So, I mean, that's pretty much the key of it. You can't be walking with just looking at your phone, walking into traffic. I mean.
Some US authorities are advising players to avoid breaking the law by trespassing in places that aren't open to the public in the search for cartoon creatures, and saying that some players have been targeted by criminals.
Yeah, you just want to catch them all. Well, actually, yesterday I was walking down the street playing it, and I actually bumped into someone. They were also playing, and we kind of had a little laugh about it. So you just got to be aware of your surroundings, you know, especially crossing the streets. I can see how that could be kind of dangerous.
Pokemon monsters can be seen through smartphone cameras, with characters appearing in whatever real settings are in view. They are caught by hitting them with virtual balls tossed by sweeping across touchscreens. Pokemon Go is not just heavily downloaded, it is being kept by players and, in the majority of cases, played daily on a scale that already rivals the use of Twitter, according to industry trackers. People are also spending money to buy virtual items.
That's really cool.
Pokemon.
Did you ever get into Pokemon first time around?
I never got into
it. I
it.
think I was a little bit too old for it when it came out. I mean, I remember I was at school still, but it was much of a younger
because
kids
all
thing.
I remember it was toys cartoon type thing,
and
wasn't
toys,
it?
Yeah.
And toys.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I think it was after my time. I think you had to be under 10
and
to like it.
Pokemon cards as well. But it was short for Pocket Monster, basically. Pokemon was Pocket Monster. It was short for that. So you've got to catch them all, basically.
Wasn't that where you had to look after the animal on your little device?
That's the Tamagotchi.
That's Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
That was a different
virtual pet Tamagotchi.
Virtual pet. That's it. I remember Tamagotchi.
Yeah, I killed enough of those
and it would
to
die
realise,
within a few days.
Yeah, I shouldn't get a real pet because I couldn't deal with a virtual one very well. We've still got Saira Niazi with us. Saira, did you ever have a Tamagotchi?
I did, yeah. And I used to collect Pokemon cards. I was really obsessed with Pokemon.
Are you going to get into this Pokemon Go thing?
I'm not sure. It sounds exciting. It's
like,
a bit of
I thought it
exploration.
might appeal to that whole kind of virtual reality thing, right?
Yeah.
The augmented reality thing, because that's how it's done, right? You kind of point the phone and you'll find the Pocket Monster. But like, it sounds like a natural extension of what you're doing, right? Because I would love that if there was an app where if I was just in an obscure part of London, I could just point the app, with my camera, and it would just show me what's nearby. Is that something you've ever thought about developing?
Definitely. A lot of people have been talking to me about that, and they said it would be a really great idea. But yeah, it's definitely something I'd look into.
Because that would solve that problem where you're trying to Google an obscure place in London, somewhere where I'd like to go, and not have the kind of popular touristic sites, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obscure stuff. Yeah. How about outside of London? Have you ever considered? Because obviously London is a beautiful city, and it's a great city, and we all love living here. And it's really cool that you're sharing it with the people, this parts of it with everybody out there. But have you ever considered any other cities?
I have. So I was in Busan in South Korea for 2 months, and I kind of replicated that project there.
I was thinking like Luton or Manchester, but
Birmingham,
straight for South Korea.
Yeah, so I did that for 2 months. That was amazing. So just discovering unique gems in Busan, which is not a very well-known city by the coast. And then I did something similar in Australia a couple of months ago, so in Sydney. So just exploring random places in Sydney.
Clearly you're a person who likes exploring, rambling or whatever. I mean, do you think this has really come more because you're in an urban environment? Because I imagine if you were living in the countryside somewhere, you'd just be a rambler walking through the country fields, right? And then maybe this wouldn't have evolved as well as it has.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I really love sort of walking the countryside. I do loads of walks in sort of the South Downs and Dorset and outside of London, especially river walks. But I don't know, with cities, there's just so much more to it. And I think London is just an amazing city. And the more I travel, the more I realise how lucky we are in London and how much we have at our doorsteps. I also did this project in Lahore, which was really interesting. So discovering interesting places in Lahore.
Lahore, Pakistan?
Yeah, in Pakistan. And I had a little blog called Stargazing Lahore. And yeah, so I mean, I think it's really easy to replicate in different cities. I think it's all about sort of, getting under the skin of a city and really, really connecting with the people and the communities and the places there.
So what were your favourite places in Lahore, Pakistan, just out of interest?
Wazir Khan Masjid is one of my favourites. Bagbanpura Bazaar.
Yes.
Shalimar Gardens.
Yes, of course.
They're a bit more mainstream because I don't think I got to the nitty and gritty.
Did you ever go to Gwal Mandi?
I did. I think I did.
You know what that is, Basit? That is Food Street.
Yeah.
Is that Food?
That's Food Street.
I know only as Food Street.
Yeah. Gwal Mandi is the original Food Street with the Lahore version of Grade 2 listed buildings.
You know what I loved about that place? You've got Haji's fish shop there.
Yeah, Haji Fish
and it has this long queue
Bashir ki machli.
Bashir ki machli. Just
Bashir's
people
fishes.
trying to buy fish.
Yeah.
It's the greatest thing. And
you can go to a place called Ghalib Market where people will queue for 3 hours for a samosa because it's that good.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
And you'll go and buy a slush puppy from somebody with questionable personal hygiene. Anyway, it's a beautiful city, Lahore, but we're talking about London right now, okay? I'm going to put you on the spot, okay?
Yeah.
Your favourite place that you've ever been to in London?
Oh gosh, that's a really difficult question.
Yes.
I'd say the Natural History Museum. It's really mainstream, but I worked there for a couple of years and I used to spend a lot of time there when everyone's gone home, and it's a really eerie place and it's a really interesting place and there's just so much more to it.
Better than the V&A across the road?
Yeah, definitely.
Really?
You can't compete. You've got
I love the
Dippy.
V&A.
Not really, no. Natural History
I
Museum.
think the history, because as you walk in and there's the big...
you've got Dippy the dinosaur.
Diplodocus. That's just amazing. And then you've got the great white, not great white, the great blue whale. That's there. So
But you got a portrait of Queen Elizabeth and... Anyway. It's fine. It's fine. To each their own, as I say. Listen, Saira, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. I'm sure people are fascinated about finding more about Living London.
Yeah.
How do they do so?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Living Lon, so Living Lon. Unfortunately, London was taken. And my website is livinglon.co.uk. So if you look at either, you can find my contact details. And the next walk I'll be organising will be on the last Saturday of this month. And they're £3 per person, but quite cheap, very affordable.
That's a bargain for London.
How many people come along to those?
The last walk, I had about 12 people.
Wow.
Fantastic.
And
quite good
from
numbers.
all sorts of backgrounds?
From all sorts of backgrounds, yeah. I had a Brazilian girl, a couple of my friends are Hindu, so it was very mixed.
And how long is the walk?
The walk was about 2 or 3 hours, but including stopovers. So we had a stopover in the sort of Hindu temple, spent a sort of half an hour there.
Oh, nice.
So they're very chilled out, though. We had food as well, so we went to an Indian restaurant in Wembley. So they're a bit flexible. And the idea of the walks is they're called wanderings because they're a lot more sort of easy than like guided tours, which can be quite regimented and quite full on. But wandering's a bit whimsical and a bit sort of more like, a bit free to do.
Maybe we'll join you as a Living the Life crew one day.
Maybe we could follow one of these walks. Yeah, I think that would be good. We'll definitely do this. It's our absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
So unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today. Massive thank you to our guest and, of course, for you at home for watching.
Thank you so much. Yes, indeed. Now, you can stay with us on Twitter at Islam Channel, #LTL. Plus, don't forget, you can watch your favourite clips again via our website and on youtube.com/Islam Channel TV.
Fantastic. Remember, Living Life will, of course, be back tomorrow. But until then,
Assalamu alaikum.
Living the love. Living the life. Living the life. Living the life.